people experience lots of anxiety in relationships because of the first thing we talked about. Grew up very dysregulated. They don't trust people. And so it feels really dangerous. Or we experience lots of anxiety in a relationship because we're pushing it too fast. We're asking questions that we can't possibly answer. For instance, what was your wife's name again?
Ellis.
Ellis, that's right. When you started dating Ellis, if week one, you're asking yourself, am I going to marry her? You can't possibly have enough data because, and maybe you were asking that, but what happens is it starts to create anxiety because you don't know what her core values are. And even if she says them, you haven't seen them. You don't know how she's going to repair after an argument. You have never done conflict with her in a week. And you don't know how she treats her friend group, right? It's simply I'm asking questions that there's no way. It's like when you start asking, is the world going to end in 2024? Well, we don't have that. We don't have that information. And so you stay up at night trying to like prepare. You're a prepper. You're trying to prepare for something and there's a certain measure that you have to prepare and ask about, but comes a certain line that you can't cross, that you don't have information. That's why you need God in your life.
Right.
The last piece to me is a lot of anxiety comes in a relationship when your level of intimacy exceeds your level of trust. We talked about this before on this podcast with the relationship ladder, the dating ladder, is when I go further with you physically and emotionally, then I have trust for you. All of a sudden I'm exposed.
Right.
I don't know how you're going to handle that. I don't know that you're going to really care for me. And now I'm giving you all of this. And so we often give ourselves away emotionally and physically in order to gain safety, in order to gain certainty, right? That's the big pull is we all crave certainty. Human beings crave certainty. It's one of our number one top needs is certainty because we live in such an uncertain world. And so in order to get certainty, people go, well, if we're connected physically and we're really deeply connected emotionally, then you won't leave me. That'll create more certainty. But it doesn't. What happens is I give you so much that I've basically placed a bet that I don't know is going to come through. And now
it heightens the stakes.
It does. You can walk away. I don't know your character. I don't actually really know. Do you like me for me? Or do you like me for my body? Or do you like me for the emotional connection? But I just gave you all this stuff. So now I double down on that.
Right.
And I give you even more because I'm trying to get you to match me. I'm trying to get you to commit to me.
Right.
And so people's anxiety just keeps raising until, in that kind of relationship, it doesn't really last because it's very performance based and it's very fear based.
And we can only perform so long.
Yeah.
Like before, the act starts to fall apart and you're like, guess what? I'm not perfect,
Yeah. And and ultimately what you're trying to get is you're trying to get the other person to go like, I love you. I'm never going to leave you. I'm going to be here forever. But it's like, I don't hardly know you.
Yeah, that's right.
And so as soon as you really get to know the person, you're like, yeah, the chemistry, the sex was great, or the emotional intimacy was awesome. But we don't actually even line up in all these areas.
For sure.
So then when you do that over and over again, that becomes so painful to do a relationship because you're always breaking it apart way up here when you've risked so much. So you learn these patterns at a young age, like, man, we dive all in trying to get that certainty and that connection. And then when it breaks up, it's so painful. And you do that 2 or 3 times and you're like, relationships are painful. I don't want to do them.
Yeah.
And if the problem is people get so used to that high, you get so used to the high of that deep, fast fire connection that doing a relationship slow doesn't feel exciting. It feels boring.